Breaking news in the Bronx. This is Bronx Fan Central.
The cauldron is boiling. Bronx Nation. There's a hot rumor involving a veteran 35-year-old pitcher from Kansas City in a possible trade. Would you rather have an expensive superstar or a battle-tested veteran who knows the game? I'm going to break down this story from a tactical perspective right now. Hang on tight and stay until the end. You've been following the rumors about Tarik Skubal, right? Everyone is talking about bringing the two-time Cy Young Award winner to the Bronx. But if you follow the Yankees closely, I have information that is completely changing the conversation behind the scenes. This might surprise you, but you still haven't seen the detail that changes everything. A report published yesterday brought up the name Michael Wacha, 35 years old, former Red Sox pitcher, now with the Royals. We've already covered him in previous videos, but today I want to share my own perspective. And Kansas City is having an absolutely disastrous season, 9 games behind the Guardians and outside the wild card race. A full rebuild appears to be coming. In that context, Wacha has become exactly the kind of player who could be moved before the August 3rd trade deadline. Wacha has only 4 wins and 5 losses, but he carries a 3.64 ERA. This is his 5th consecutive season with an ERA below 4. Pure consistency. And that's exactly where things started to get interesting. I'll be honest with you, when I first saw people talking about Wacha to the Yankees, my reaction was, another pitcher? We know that Schlittler, Cole, Rodon, and Fried can carry a playoff rotation. We don't need another frontline starter. But the more I analyzed the situation, the more I noticed a detail almost nobody was mentioning. Wacha is not the main attraction. He's the insurance policy. He's the safety net. He's the guy who is ready to step in when injuries strike. And you know the Yankees' history, every time you think the team is safe, boom, someone goes down. That's when I started seeing something that almost nobody else was noticing. Let's go back to 2024. Juan Soto arrived in New York. Everyone thought he was the missing piece, a strategic investment, an elite player. But what nobody expected was how quickly everything came together, because it was a direct acquisition that didn't require gutting the prospect system. Skubal is different, very different. To acquire the 29-year-old Cy Young winner, the Yankees would have to give up major prospects. We're talking about young talent the organization developed carefully over time. And Skubal will become a free agent after this season, meaning he could walk away for nothing in just a few months. It would be a short-term addition. But there's one key difference that completely changes the comparison. Here's the issue nobody wants to discuss. The Yankees have glaring weaknesses elsewhere. The left side of the infield remains vulnerable. The catcher position desperately needs improvement. And the bullpen? The bullpen is a mess. Can you really see Cashman investing everything in another starting pitcher when there are entire positions hurting the team in close games? That's exactly the type of mistake the front office has made before, putting all the resources into pitching while neglecting everything else. And look, I admire Skubal. He's outstanding. But paying the massive price Detroit will demand while also losing valuable prospects? That hurts. It really hurts. Because you know how this story usually goes. You trade away 3 or 4 promising young players, and 2 years later you wish you had them back. But the real problem was still hidden. Let me tell you something I've thought about a lot. Wacha isn't Skubal. Wacha is actually better for this specific situation. I'm usually one of the first people to criticize Yankees front office decisions, you know that. Cashman makes questionable moves all the time. But this might be one of those situations where he's right without looking right. Wacha costs less. Wacha requires less. Wacha is a veteran who knows the American League East extremely well. He pitched for Boston and understands what it means to face Tampa Bay, Baltimore, and Toronto. He has experience. He has composure. And most importantly, if one of the Yankees starters gets injured, Wacha is ready. Truly ready. He's not a prospect. He's not a developing project. He's someone you can put on the mound in October and sleep well at night. That has value. A lot of value. I think we've been looking at this story the wrong way because our fan brains are waiting for a blockbuster headline. Skubal is a blockbuster. Wacha is a smart baseball move. And I'll admit something, I wasn't expecting to appreciate a Cashman decision this summer. That's when I completely changed my opinion on this situation. Now comes the part you need to know. The information circulating behind the scenes that the media hasn't fully connected yet. Kansas City isn't just considering trading Wacha. They're eager to move him before August 3rd. The deadline is approaching quickly, very quickly. And when you have a desperate team and an aggressive executive like Cashman, you have the perfect recipe for a fast and affordable deal. It won't cost what Scooble would cost. It won't require 5 prospects, maybe 2, maybe 3, maybe 2 plus a prospect who isn't even among the organization's top 5. This is exactly the type of July trade that strengthens your team without destroying your future. And do you know why nobody is talking about it? Because Scooble generates more headlines. Scooble creates more clicks. Scooble gets people arguing. Wacha is quiet. Wacha is the move that works behind the scenes. And just when you think you understand everything, another piece of the puzzle appears. Mark Feinsand from MLB.com mentioned that the Yankees, Athletics, and White Sox would be ideal destinations for Wacha. But that's the obvious part. What analysts are not discussing is the timing. Wacha is scheduled to face Tampa Bay on Monday in St. Petersburg. That's tomorrow. It's an evaluation game. The Yankees will be watching. If Wacha performs well, and he has historically pitched effectively against weaker American League East teams, his price rises. If he struggles, the cost may drop. Kansas City knows this too. That's why negotiations need to happen now. Not Thursday. Not Friday. Now. Because if you wait another month, more teams join the conversation, the price climbs, and the opportunity disappears. And listen, Cashman may be many things, but one thing he understands is how to take advantage of an open window. That's why this move could happen out of nowhere. That's why you could wake up in a few days and see Yankees acquire Michael Wacha in the headlines. But that revelation creates an even bigger question. If Wacha joins the Yankees, the rotation becomes a machine. You have quality from 1 through 5. You have depth. You have injury protection. And here's the playoff angle. In a 7-game series, you can constantly deploy fresh arms. That's a championship luxury. That's elite roster construction. Consider this. Wacha ranks 2nd in the American League with 94 innings pitched. The guy takes the ball. The guy is durable. He isn't made of glass. That matters. It matters a lot. Because in October, you don't want unproven pitchers backing up your starters. You want veterans who have handled pressure before. Players who understand what it means to stand on the mound when everything is at stake. Wacha checks those boxes. A Yankees October rotation featuring Schlittler, Cole, Rodon, Fried, and Wacha as an option. That's terrifying for the rest of the American League. Honestly, terrifying. And the consequences could arrive sooner than most people expect. There's a reason I believe this story is far from over. Because this is not the only conversation happening. While Wacha's name is being discussed, Cashman could also be working on upgrades elsewhere. That's how baseball operates. You don't pursue only one solution. You work multiple angles. The bullpen could get reinforcements. The catcher position could improve. The left side of the infield could receive attention. Because Wacha is the safe piece, we already know he works. But if you can acquire Wacha at a reasonable cost and still have resources available to address other weaknesses, then you're building a team without holes, a team that dominates the second half, a team that arrives in October fully prepared. That's what I believe is happening. It's not Scooble or Wacha, it's Wacha and everything else. And there's a reason I believe this story still isn't finished. Maybe you're looking at this from the wrong angle. You see Scooble and immediately expect a massive blockbuster move. But the reality is that the best baseball decisions are often the quiet ones. The moves you only appreciate when October arrives. That's why I'm telling you. Watch Wacha against Tampa Bay tomorrow. Watch the game. Pay attention to how he performs. Because depending on what happens in that outing, you could be watching a trade come together within days. This is the type of move that defines playoff runs. It's not the biggest name, it's not the most exciting headline, but it's exactly how championship caliber teams are built. Michael Wacha may be the answer nobody was looking for. And that's exactly why the next decision could change everything once again. I also left a few Yankees products in the description so Bronx Nation can follow the story closely. Until the next update.